It's baseball night in America, and tonight from a packed Kingdome in Seattle, it's the first game of a three-game series between the Oakland Athletics and the Seattle Mariners. And to you all, a very pleasant good evening, everybody. We're going to have a jam-packed crowd. As you can see, Destiny, well, the Mariners may have a date with Destiny. I'm Dave Niehaus, along with Steve Busby. A quick look at the standings. First of all, in the American League West, yes, indeed, the Seattle Mariners and the California Angels in a dead heat. And yet, Buzz, there's another race, too.
That there is, and it looks like Seattle just 2 weeks ago was going to have to look at this race, a wild card race, for hopes of postseason play, but that's not true anymore. They still have the lead in that wild card race, but they're setting their sights on the American League Western Division crown.
But if the Mariners are to have a smile on their face after this weekend is over, they'll have to beat a club that wears them out. In the last 3 years, the Seattle Mariners have lost 15 of 19 games against the Oakland Athletics.
It's amazing. Seattle 7 out of 10 this year, and the reason for the Oakland Athletic dominance, M.McGwire finally back in the lineup for most of this year, although missing some. But McGwire, the best home run ratio per at-bat since Babe Ruth back in 1920, and Wednesday, a 465-foot Ruthian shot into the bleachers at the Coliseum in Oakland.
Yes, but if the Mariners have an ace up their sleeve in this wild card race, it's probably K.Griffey Jr. He is back, and he is back to his amazing self defensively and beginning to come back offensively also. The pitching matchups tonight, first of all, for the Oakland Athletics, it will be Todd Van Poppel, a youngster who all of a sudden found control.
Well, the youngster against the veteran, Tim Belcher, will be opposing him for the Seattle Mariners.
And right now, let's go to Hannah Storm for a Baseball Night in America update.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Storm. Welcome to Baseball Night in America, brought to you by Chevrolet. Tonight, the reeling California Angels are struggling mightily in Texas. Juan Gonzalez breaks the game open in the 7th with a deep fly off the center field wall. It is a 3-run double off reliever Mark James. And should the Angels go on to lose their 8th straight ball game at this point, as they trail by a score of 8-3, they will be tied with New York for the wild card lead, while the Mariners will go into their game with Oakland tonight in sole possession of first place in the American League West by half a game. Now, over in the National League, Ray Langford with a 2-run shot helping the Cardinals to a 3-0 shutout of the Houston Astros, and with the loss, Houston falls a game behind the Dodgers in the wild card race. The Dodgers host the Padres tonight. Meanwhile, the Reds went into the night thinking that their magic number was 1 to clinch the National League Central, but they were told as they took the field in Philly that a tiebreaker had just been figured out and that they already had been awarded the division title. Now, turning to golf and the 31st Ryder Cup matches, day 1 at Oakland.
Well, as you can see, they've been bitten big by the pennant bug out here. Pennant fever is alive and well, as we are expecting over 50,000 people at the Kingdome tonight for the first game of this 3-game series between the M's and their nemesis, the Oakland Athletics. Let's take a look at tonight's Budweiser starting lineup. First of all, for the Oakland Athletics, you can see against Seattle, they just completely kill them. They have a team batting average .297 against the Mariners this season.
And with defensively tonight for the Seattle Mariners, the outfield will consist of V.Coleman, K.Griffey, and Jay Buhner, left, center, and right. Infield that has had problems turning a double play. M.Blowers, Soho, Cora, and Tino Martinez, Dan Wilson, and Tim Belcher on the mound. And Tim Belcher, a guy that has given the Mariners some consistency from that number 4 and 5 slot in the starting rotation. Belcher, the Bulldog, who was brought over here in June of this year. And he is a 10-10 pitcher, but well, you get a 500 pitcher that keeps you in ball games the way Belcher has, and he is a man of consistency for this ball club.
Belcher basically a fly ball pitcher. Ricky Henderson takes the pitch down low, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. You saw in Buzz's defensive report the fact that the Mariners have trouble turning the double play. 102 double plays, the fewest in the American League this year. Only the Atlanta Braves have turned less, and not because they're a bad defensive ball club. Their pitchers don't allow anybody on the bases. They don't have much of a chance to turn double plays down there.
Well, they don't, but when they turn them, they need them. The pitchers they have throw the strikes all the time, and that's really, Dave, kind of true for Lou Pinella's ball club. You have something like Randy Johnson. He doesn't allow enough base runners for Joey Cora and Luis Soho to get their job done in the middle.
That little guy right there has done a great job offensively for the Mariners this year. This is the 1-1. And at the knees, a strike. Lest we forget maybe the most important man out there, and they are hardly recognized unless they do a bad job, and that's the umpires. Brian Onora is the man calling balls and strikes tonight, with Jim McKean at first base, Jim Joyce at second, and Dale Scott around at third. Henderson, that minuscule strike zone, the way he squats there at the plate, flexes those knees, has that tiny, tiny strike zone. The A's playing as good a ball as they have played all year long now. They have won 6 in a row. 5 games back in both the West and the wild card race. And Blowers going to have a tough play, but he short hops it and throws him out. Good play by Mike Blowers.
Outstanding play by Mike Blowers, and he has had better success this year for the Mariners making the tough play than he has the routine play. He has had a lot of errors throwing the ball away, but with Henderson's speed, you really have to have a do-or-die opportunity here. The short hop has to be made. Blowers does it flawlessly.
Well, Blowers perhaps thinking in terms of that one game in Oakland when the Mariners ended a road trip, had to drop by and play Oakland, and his 2 throwing errors allowed the Oakland Athletics to beat the Mariners that night, and that was one of their tougher losses of the year. This is Geronimo Baroja. Baroja having a good year for the Athletics. On the outside corner. And certainly all of us associated with Major League Baseball send out our sympathy to the Walter Haas family, the owner of the Oakland Athletics, passing away a couple of days ago at the age of 79. A very beloved figure in the Oakland area and by his ball players, too, we might add. So strike 3 on Geronimo Baroja, and that'll bring up Brent Gates.
Tony La Russa has stated that Mr. Haas Sr. was really the one that kept him in Oakland with all the difficulties that he had faced. He and Sandy Alderson, fixtures there now, and Tony La Russa said that Senior Haas was the reason for it.
Well, Tony has a decision to make in another week or however long it takes for the Athletics to be eliminated from competition, and he has a clause in his contract that will allow him to leave Oakland if he wishes. Brent Gates, little switch hitter out of the University of Minnesota, has taken a strike. He's taken 2 strikes. He's right on the money right now.
Early indications good for Tim Belcher, and Lou Piniella likes what he sees. When Belcher gets the ball down in the strike zone, he's trying to work up a little bit here to Brent Gates. But when he gets the ball down and on one part of the plate or the other, boy, he really has it going.
You can hear these fans are into every pitch, and that ball is hit deep but foul down the right field line. Right in on the hands. A good fastball that time from Tim Belcher. Kid from Ohio, 33 years of age. Not the greatest of stuff. No, he's the first to admit it, but he's got the savvy. He's a pinpoint pitcher. If he doesn't have his good stuff, he won't be around long. Looks like he has his stuff early tonight. That one bouncing up to the plate, however, for the count to go to a ball and 2 strikes.
Dave, I made the statement that he is just what the Mariner order needed. He's the one guy that's had enough postseason experience to take out there as a starter. Now, not in the relief corps, but he has that experience. He knows what it takes, and all guys have to do is go to him and say, hey, what's going on here? Watch how he prepares himself and model themselves after him, and that's a great benefit.
A ball and 2 strikes, and a line shot base hit to right field by first baseman Tino Martinez. So Gates has the first hit of the ball game, and here he is, Big Mac. The big redhead who's had his foot problems, his arch problems, back problems, is still one of the most feared sluggers in baseball. And when you consider Mark McGwire has missed 40 games and has 34 home runs, you just wonder, don't you? Would he have 45, 50 already? And when he hits him, you know it.
Yeah, there's not much doubt.
And McGwire 6 for 13 against Tim Belcher in his career. High fastball. You live up there, you'll die up there with him.
That's where they're going to try to stay with him, but Belcher got that ball out over the plate. McGwire, an excellent low ball hitter. And right now, he is not missing many mistakes. That's one of the few mistakes you'll see him miss.
Well located outside corner to knees.
Keep it down there away from him. You're going to keep the ball in the park. If you make a mistake when you're trying to come up and in on him out over the plate, that ball may not stay in the dome anywhere.
Looks like he might have taken just a little bit off that fastball, missed high and away with it.
Well, this is the kind of guy in Mark McGwire that any team would love to anchor their lineup around.
1 on, 2 out, just the beginning of things in Seattle. High fastball. Down he goes. So 2 strikeouts for Tim Belcher here in the first, and the Athletics lead 1. So we are underway in Seattle before a roaring crowd. The Athletics nothing, and the Mariners coming up. Well, back here at the Kingdome with Steve Busby, I'm Dave Niehaus. The Athletics did not score in the top of the first, and the Budweiser starting lineup for the Seattle Mariners. The batting order, look at the middle of the lineup, spots 3 through 7, 128 home runs. That is where the big howitzers lie.
Yeah, they are certainly strong. The defense for Oakland also very strong this year. Mike Bordick, the best fielding percentage among shortstops in the major leagues, and he has a pretty good cast behind him, does Todd Van Poppel, the 23-year-old right-hander. And Todd Van Poppel is showing signs now of becoming the ace and long-time ace as you look into the future of this Oakland staff. Good strikeout ratio to innings pitched, and he has cut down almost 60% on his walks over last year.
Well, Todd Van Poppel is becoming what the Oakland Athletics thought they would be when they drafted him #1 as an 18-year-old kid out of Texas. And V.Coleman, who has been a spark plug for the Mariners, starting things off, has a look at a strike as he jumps away. Van Poppel, his pitching coach is Dave Duncan, but his mentor is Rick Honeycutt. Honeycutt works a lot with him.
Rick Honeycutt working with him on refining that big motion that he has. And people that are familiar with Todd Van Poppel can look back a year or two and really recognize a difference physically. This guy has put on about 15 or 20 pounds in the last year. He's a lot stronger, and he is a lot more compact on the mound.
That comes back over the inside corner. It changed that time, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. He's beaten the Mariners once this year. Curveball that time, and a little pop to left, and Rookie is there. So 1 down. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Chevrolet. The cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. By Pepsid Acid Controller. You can be heartburn free with new Pepsid AC. And by Sprint Business. We help business do more business. Here's Joey Cora, who has been at about 300 right where he is now all year long. He has been very much an offensive force. Joey not signed by the Chicago White Sox last year, cut loose. The Mariners are delighted to have him, and boy, he has responded well. That's going to be out of play, I do believe, as Giambi and the shortstop Bordick will run over there, but it will be out of play. You like the wild card, Buzz?
I'm starting to get used to it. It's still difficult. I don't know whether I'm a traditionalist or just getting old, but I have a hard time thinking that if you don't win the division, you're going to go into postseason play. But I obviously am going to have to change my thinking.
Cora pulls it foul. A ball and 2 strikes. At the beginning of the year, I didn't either. It's been such a wacky year. First starting off with, replacement players, short spring training, 144-game season. But the Ripken magic this summer certainly has brought fans back and got their thoughts of the fact that there still is not an agreement. That's going to be caught by Javier. And quickly 2 down for the Mariners here in the first. And then here at the end, following a wild card, to see the Mariners and the Yankees chasing each other is weird to begin with,
It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It's that's the thing I'm getting more used to, I guess, the more we talk about it. But still, I think if we would have had a full year last year and there hadn't been all the labor management problems, it might have been more readily accepted, the wild card idea, than, as you mentioned, all the things that have happened in the last 13 months.
Well, here is Junior in our opening shot. You saw Junior's catch of Juan Gonzalez's ball in Wednesday night's ball game. And Junior is just about Junior again. I mean, offensively and defensively. That jammed him a little bit, and he popped it up. Javier again drifting back underneath the baseball and makes the easy catch for out number 3. So a 1-2-3 Seattle answer, and after 1, no score.
But on certain days in his life, he has been. The night he poured in 63 points. The day he found Dwight Clark in the end zone. His relentless pursuit of the streak. And you wish at some point, at some moment in your life, that you could be that perfect too. And that's why you cheer for him.
Boy, indeed, the Mariners are alive here at the tail end of the 1995. They have been on fire. They have won 9 of their last 11. They just completed a 3-game sweep of the Texas Rangers that literally tore the heart out of the man from the Lone Star State. And they get some more good news tonight. We'll pass along in a moment as Jason Giambi fouls the first pitch back by Tim Belcher. Look at that. California has lost to the Texas Rangers, so the Angels' collapse continues. The Angels now have lost 8 in a row, 26 of their last 33 ball games. Jason Giambi with 6 home runs and 25 driven across.
Today with that starting staff that they have in California and Lee Smith having a good year out of the pen, I would have never thought a losing streak of more than 4 games was a viable possibility for California.
Great pitch. He jammed him right under the hands. The ball may have kissed the top of the bag, and Tino Martinez takes care of it. You know something? I'll tell you, Buzz, as we look where this pitch is, it's right in on the hands of Giambi.
Well, Belcher has not missed, with the exception of the one pitch to McGwire, the first pitch that he got out over the plate. When he's wanted to come inside, it has been either on the black part of the plate inside or off the plate. And when you don't make mistakes back out over, you're going to have a pretty good night, and that's exactly the way Belcher's starting.
Here's Danny Tartabull. It was about 3 weeks ago, I think, as Tartabull can't find a fastball, that they started posting the magic number down in the clubhouse of the California Angels. And it has stayed at 10 for a long time now. And you start looking at that and expect that thing to disappear magically and take your concentration off the field. It never disappears.
It's like putting up the number of days you've had to work without an accident. You know, as soon as you put that up there, somebody's going to get hurt.
A ball and a strike on Danny Tartabull. Certainly enveloped in controversy this year with the New York Yankees before the deal was made, sending Ruben Sierra, a controversial figure with Oakland, to New York for Danny Tartabull. I still remember Tartabull as a rookie with the Mariners, in his position, second base.
Talented athlete. Unfortunately, he has just not been able to stay healthy.
Belcher behind on the count. Look out here at 3-1. Full count. Tartabull wanting to know from Onora if that was a strike or not, and I think it was a perfect strike outside corner Panini. A little low. So Tartabull trots to the bag at first. That's the second inning in a row in which the Athletics have put a base runner aboard. Last time with 2 outs, this time with 1 down, and that'll bring up Terry Steinbach, who was a late entry into the lineup. Eric Helfand was the original catcher handed us, but Tony La Russa made the late change and put Steinbach behind the plate. This, to my way of thinking, and I don't know how he plays Texas. Steinbach hits against Texas, but over the years, maybe the toughest clutch hitter in a game situation that the Mariners have ever faced. He always seems to get the job done in a tight situation in a ball game.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, Dave, that no matter what the situation, he always has a little trick left up his sleeve. He sits there and watches pitchers very intently. He's a great student of the game. And when he recognizes a little pattern that a pitcher gets into with runners on base, then he'll adapt to that. He'll mark that down in his little book, and when it comes to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and you get into a situation where a base hit can hurt you.
Here's a base hit. Speaking of base hits, ripped into left field, so the Athletics have runners at first and second with 1 down now for Stan Javier.
In Steinbach's mind, that little light goes on very quickly, and he'll look for that one pitch in a location to drive.
So the Athletics with a threat here in the second with 2 on and 1 down. And again, we point out the Mariners only 3 wins against Oakland this year. They have lost 7 times. And you know what? When these two clubs play in spring training, nothing much changes. Athletics wear out the Mariners. It doesn't mean a difference if games don't mean anything or not. And they usually play long baseball games. One and all on Javier.
Now we might have to point out too that when Kansas City came in here last week, they were 7-2 against Seattle, and the Mariners promptly turned that around.
Two balls in those strikes as Belcher falls behind Javier. It's been a supercharged Seattle since last Tuesday when the election was held, and euphoria reigned for a while because after the votes were counted on Proposition 1, which would raise the tax 0.1% to build a new stadium. When all the ballots were counted, 4,000 yeses were in the lead, but that was without the count of the absentee ballots. Well, it's now down to 310 votes with some 15,000 votes, absentee votes remaining. So it's getting mighty, mighty tight. It's real edgy here in Seattle right now.
Yeah, it is. I sensed a change that night, Tuesday night of the election. Mariners came back, tied the ball game in the 9th inning against Texas, won it in the extra inning, got the tie for first place, one game behind in first place.
3-1 pitch to Javier, high, and so all of a sudden the radar of Mr. Belcher has gone south. He's walked 2 here in the second, and the Athletics have the bases drunk for Mike Bordy.
We'll get back to that thought in just a minute. Right now, Belcher's having a problem that sometimes you see with starting pitchers. The first time they have to throw from the stretch in a ball game, they may not have too many problems. He had to throw from the stretch in the first, but this time he walked a man, that being Tartable, then from the stretch had trouble to Steinbach and now Javier. I'm a little surprised he doesn't go back to the windup against Bordick right now.
Bordick has stung the Mariners hard this year. He's hit .348 against them. And he's also hit a long ball and driven across 5. One strike on Bordick. Over at third base, Danny Tartable. That's Terry Steinbach at second, and Stan Javier over at first. Belcher overthrowing a high fastball. Ball and 2 strikes. That man has done a marvelous job this year, Lou Piniella. Yes, sir. Outside corner, knee-high again. Bordick complaining to O'Neill that the ball was low.
Now this just painting the outside corner, that target set by Dan Wilson. The only question was whether the pitch was high enough, and I think that's what Bordick was talking about. It certainly had the plate. Tim Belcher coming back after a couple of walks in the inning, and Mike Bordick has to be saying, wait a minute, this guy walked 2, gave up a base hit, now he paints the outside corner on me. What's going on here?
Here's Ricky, who hit a 2-hopper short hop by Blowers, who threw him out, made a fine play in the first inning. Saw
the little graphic with Henderson, and not only does he lead the major leagues with runners in scoring position.
Hitting 400 with men with the bases loaded. And that's a soft line drive, base hit into the gap, and it's going to clear off 3. So Tartabull's going to score. Steinbach's going to score. Here comes Javier on a bases loaded, clearing a double by Ricky Henderson, and it's 3-0, Oakland.
Well, Henderson has been on fire lately, and Belcher trying to go out there with him, and Henderson went right down and got it. He was hitting .472 before that at bat with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Henderson being down there already, a pretty good low ball hitter. And Belcher got that over the plate a little too much. Henderson said, thank you very much. And that's the advantage of, for a hitter, artificial turf. Line drive over shortstop that goes to the wall.
Here's Geronimo Baroja. So both bases on balls have come in to score. Ricky Henderson just a bullet all the way to the warning track.
Just a little bit high.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a free one, you might as well see how high you can throw it.
The Seattle Ball Club in the last couple of weeks, although they are, 2-51 when winning after 8 innings, have been pulling off some unbelievable come-from-behind victories in the 7th and the 8th inning. Texas Rangers know that.
Yes. Yeah, it's a ball club, I think, Dave, that certainly you know better than I think it has benefited in the long run from not having Ken Griffey around for a while. I think that the entire lineup improved.
A ball and 2 strikes. They knew they all of a sudden had to do it without Junior, and they become, I think, a closer-knit group. The Alex Diaz's of the world, the Rich Amaral, the guys that filled in, did a great job. But believe me, they are delighted to have Junior back.
Oh, yeah.
1-2.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to intimate that they feel they can do without him, but he had a little bit of a slump after he came back to Ken Griffey, and that didn't slow down the club at all.
No, he was still sore, and he is still sore. That wrist can have those screws and that plate taken out of the wrist when the year is over. So Baroa's down on strikes, but a big 3-run inning for the Oakland Athletics on only a couple of hits, and after an inning and a half, the A's 3, the Mariners nothing.
Of shortstop, then it is celebrated longevity. In the 13-year span of Cal's streak, over 4,000 other Major League players have gone on the disabled list, while Cal has shown up to play through aches and pains.
My hands were steady. Along with Steve Busby, this is Dave Niehaus at the Kingdome in Seattle, and the league's leading hitter, Edgar Martinez, will be followed by Tino Martinez and then Jay Buhner. So some wood to chop early for the Mariners as they are down by 3. Van Poppel misses inside, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Van Poppel, just 23 years of age, and really now just learning how to pitch. And as Buzz mentioned earlier, he's eventually going to be the number 1 guy on this staff. That's a foul ball. Just missed. I almost had the chalk line, say the painted line on the carpet here.
Kicks up paint chips to finish up. Now, a long run going to that right field corner for Baroa. And really not a Geronimo Baroa playing over in right center field, but he has had a difficult time throughout his career finding a place to play with Philadelphia in his time with the National League clubs. They really didn't pick out a defensive spot for him. He is primarily a designated hitter now over in the American League.
And that ball hit into the gap in left center field, and Javier will go over and cut it off on a hop and hold Edgar to a long single. So the Mariners' first hit. Edgar Martinez.
Base hits at bats like that, I should say, are why Edgar Martinez is hitting nearly 360 now. He hits a fastball just foul down the right side, and looks like Van Poppel tried to pull the string on him a little bit, and Martinez is able to loop it to left center field for the base hit. Pretty tough to get him to have bad swings.
Well, Tino Martinez is looking for his first base hit off Todd Van Poppel. He is 0 for 6. And the fans are into it now. They want to party tonight. That's going to be popped up and may be playable. A long, long run for Giambi and Bordick, and Giambi's not going to be able to get to it. A lot of foul territory here, but nothing like the Coliseum in Oakland.
To say Giambi's probably thankful that wasn't in Oakland. He'd still be running.
It has been hot here. Don't melt in the heat. On 2 on Tino Martinez.
You can get a pretty good idea why Tino might have problems with a guy like Van Poppel. There aren't many around that can throw like Van Poppel, but he has the ability to throw that riding fastball up out of the strike zone and that good curveball to straight down.
Popped him up. And does anybody see it? Finally, Steinbach does, and it's Steinbach over there to make the catch. Weird things happen indoors, the pop-ups. Hit speakers, hit guy wires, get lost in the roof. Jay Buhner, last week's Player of the Week in the American League, and certainly one of the real gritty guys on this ball club. He's a hard-nosed kid, plays the game hard, and has just had a super year. Those 112 RBIs. Curveball high, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Two balls and no strikes. Buhner never met a fastball he didn't like if it's out and over the plate. Albert Bell, what a year he's had. Oh. High fly ball. It got in on him just enough. And kind of an adventure out there for Mr. Baroa, but he finally makes the catch.
We almost needed a travel agent for that trip.
So 2 down, and here's Blowers, the local product from Spanaway, Washington, and the University of Washington. Again, if you didn't know, the Angels have lost their 8th in a row. The Yankees were rained out in New York against the Detroit Tigers. For the Athletics, what is going to be tough to get back in the race, not only the fact that they're 5 out in both races, the wild card and the West, but they have their final 9 on the road. Outside corner. From here, they head to Texas, and then they have a 4-game series to close out the year in Anaheim. One and 2 on Mike Blowers. 3-0. Oakland, a bases loaded clearing double by Ricky Henderson, the difference in the ball game. And we're in the second.
You know, you've heard a lot of, you were mentioning Albert Bell, a lot about the Cleveland offense all the entire year. I think this Mariner offense, the way it has come around, it stacks up favorably against almost anybody, including Cleveland.
On the inside corner. Got him looking, so that is that in the second. The Mariners lead Edgar over at first base, and 2 innings in the book with the Athletics leading the Mariners 3-0.
Car worth about $275. 20 years from now, who knows? 1,000, 2,000, might even go.
Man, you were looking at Robin Roberts. It says here your car's worth 4 cents.
Yo, T, 4 cents if it's in excellent condition, but 10 cents if it's totally mint.
Oh, sorry.
Friends, tomorrow it's a super Saturday, a sensational Saturday, as NBC Sports brings you 2 headline events. First, the Ryder Cup at the special time of 8 a.m. Eastern. In the morning, our 7 hours of live coverage tees off as 2-man teams for the USA and Europe go head-to-head in this classic match play event. And then Notre Dame and Ron Pallas looking to win another one for ailing coach Lou Holtz, take on the nationally ranked Texas Longhorns. And then after the game, the Ryder Cup returns live at 4 p.m. Eastern with more pressure-packed match play. Join us this weekend for over 13 hours of live Ryder Cup coverage starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and continuing at 4 p.m. Eastern. You viewers on the West Coast, you might want to set your alarms early since our day starts at 5 a.m. Pacific time. This is Brent Gates, who has the count run to 1-1 on him. He's singled right field in the first inning. And the count of ball and 2 strikes. Maybe not out of play, but nobody's going to get to it. He'll take that high kangaroo hop off the carpet and go back in as a souvenir. A ball and 2 strikes. The Mariners are 9 games over 500 for the first time since '91, when Oakland hitting instructor Jim Lefebvre was managing the club here in Seattle.
This is the latest, I believe, they have ever been in first place in franchise history. Is that correct?
It is. There's Jimmy. Dave Duncan, the man in the foreground, the pitching coach.
Not a bad couple of hitters sitting there. Carney Lansford and Jim Lefebvre. Lefebvre, the National League Rookie of the Year in '65. And Carney Lansford, one of the best right-handed hitters to be in this game in the last 2 decades.
Rammed toward the hole by Soho. So Brent Gates, 2 for 2 in this ball game. And look out. Here comes Mark McGwire.
Boy, how many times have the Oakland Athletics come up with quote-unquote utility players that have turned out to be great everyday players? You go back to Tony Phillips, Mike Gallego, and now the likes of Brent Gates, who have changed positions, very versatile players. And Tony La Russa just seems to get people like that to come along and help his ball club.
And that's a towering high fly ball hit deep to left. Will the yard hold it? Coleman looks up, and it won't hold it. As Mark McGwire, a mortar shot, makes it 5-0 Oakland. Vince Coleman just flat ran out of room. First pitch to him.
We were talking about McGwire's first time up. Belcher made one mistake, that also on the first pitch, with that fastball that he got out over the plate. This appeared to be a similar pitch, and McGwire did not miss 2 mistakes in a row. McGwire's so strong. For most people, that's maybe a pop-up or at least a fly ball to shallow left field, but this one right out over the plate. And McGwire able to get extension, got it just in front of the plate enough to loft it out of the yard. Vince Coleman wishing he had an extra ticket. Should have gone back and caught that.
Number 35 for Mark McGwire. Giambi taking a strike, 0-1. McGwire with the... It'll be tough, but an outside shot at 100 RBIs. He has 82 now. The time's running out on him in a hurry. You miss 40 games and have 100 RBIs. Wow. Probably know the story of Piniella and LaRussa, both from Tampa. Both playing on the same Legion team at one time. And the Oakland Athletics of 1990 going into the World Series against Lou Piniella's Cincinnati Reds, heavily favored. And Cincinnati swept them in 4. Two hopper by the mound. M.Blowers has to double clutch a little bit and throw him out. So 1 out in the 3rd.
Designated hitter number 45, Danny Cardinal.
On the breaking ball, there's Bob Wells, who has done a good job in long relief. He struggled in Wednesday night's game against Texas in that runaway. Couldn't get anybody out and had to leave after having loaded the bases. And all Jeff Nelson did was come in and strike out Sam Horn, Otis Nixon, Mark McLemore to end the ball game. After it. Breaking ball in the dirt. So 2 down. 4 strikeouts for Belcher.
Well, this is one of the nights that pitchers just hate to have starters. You either get the strikeout or every pitch that you put in that the opposition puts in play finds a hole or leaves the ballpark. It's either the penthouse or the basement, it seems like. That's frustrating.
Pretty good slider, as long as he keeps it out there on the corner. Banged up the middle. Great stop by Cora. Gets up and throws wildly, and that's going to end up in the dugout. And Joey Cora's going to receipt for his 22nd error of the year. That's going to be a hit and an error.
Cora did a great job getting to this ball as Steinbach looped up the middle. Couldn't quite get his footing as he tried to scramble up. And one of the problems that Joey Cora has had, not catching the ball, but when he does, throwing the ball accurately to first. More than half of his errors have been the result of errant throws, and here's another one.
This is Javier now, with 2 in and 2 out and 1 on. See, Javier has been hot his last 31 games. And that's got a chance to drop and pick up another run, and it will. Reached out and just parachuted one into left field, and all of a sudden the Oakland Athletics putting some distance between themselves and the Mariners. They lead it by a half dozen, 6-0.
Lou Piniella a little frustrated right now, and he has found his very hot Mariner ball club looking at an even hotter Oakland ball club. And when a club is hot and you make a mistake against them, it doesn't cost you just 1 run or an out. It costs you a couple, 3, 4 runs. And that's what's happened here this evening. The one mistake that Belcher made for a 2-run home run. Now the error cost them a run immediately.
And the Mariners beginning to know what the Texas Rangers felt like on Wednesday, down 6-0 after a couple of innings. And all of a sudden the slope becomes a little bit steeper. It's very early. We're only in the 3rd. And Belcher behind Bordy. 2-0.
Back to the first inning when you saw Tim Belcher work on one half of the plate or the other, and everything was pretty much down unless he was trying to pitch up. Now he's working more in the middle of the plate as that pitch was to Bordick. And most of the strikes that he has thrown are in the thigh area, which for a pitcher is, unless you have a very good fastball, that's the danger area.
That's right. Randy Johnson can get away with it. Tim Belcher cannot. Bobby Cuellar, the Mariner pitching coach. There's the slider. Got him. But again, 3 more for the Oaklands, and as we go to the bottom half of the third, it's the Oakland Athletics 6 and the Mariners nothing. And you're just looking at Jason Giambi take the high pop-up off the bat of Luis Sojo as he was first ball swinging, and that was the result. So 1 pitch and 1 down here in the third inning. Dan Popple has given up only the 1 hit. Back to Edgar Martinez. Here is certainly the unsung hero for the Mariners this year. What a job Dan Wilson has done, both defensively and offensively. Look at that batting average at 277. I think you take any catcher with a 277 batting average and all the wear and tear he goes through night after night behind the plate, catching a staff full of split fingers and forkballers. Did you throw the splitter?
No.
I didn't think you did. Slow breaking ball high. Ball 2, 2-1.
You get a catcher, too, that's going to hit you around 10 or 12 home runs a year, and in a normal year, maybe 15, drive in close to 60. That's a very valuable asset. Good defensive player.
That's out of play. And 2-2 the count. A brilliant kid, an engineering major. There's Tim Belcher.
Not a real happy man, is it?
No. Hit hard. Baroa can't find the ball. Apparently got in the lights and just put the hand up and said, I surrender. I'll take it off the wall. And Dan Wilson has a 1-out double. I don't know how that ball can get hit in the lights because it wasn't high enough. Maybe with all the white shirts here tonight indoors may have something to do with it. Maybe just didn't see it.
Well, it was hit hard, and Baroa was not going to get hit in the head with that ball, believe me. If he'd known how far that was over his head, he wouldn't have worried about it. And that's one of the reasons why there's a DH.
Coleman popped out. Ricky Henderson in left field is only at bat.
Yeah, that's not really fair to say about Geronimo Baroa because in normal circumstances, he would be the DH and Danny Tartabull would be in right field, but because Tartabull would have the rib cage injury, he's not able to play defensively. So Geronimo out there out of necessity. They have to have both those bats in the lineup.
Playoff and World Series experience at the plate. There's Danny over the bench as the DH. Vince Coleman with the Cardinals, of course. Curve in the dirt.
But there's no automatic tarp here, is there?
No, they can't roll that up on him here. He missed the World Series after the playoffs. The tarp rolled up on him at Busch Stadium, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And people in St. Louis swear to this day that was the reason that Kansas City was able to beat St. Louis in that three-way World Series.
on the inside corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You also might talk to St. Louis fans about Don Denkinger in that series also.
You could probably have a fight on your hands. I think you even brought the name up.
Off the glove of the third baseman Giambi, and heading into third base Van Wilson. So the Mariners with runners at first and third and 1 down. You go to Joey Cora now. And right now let's check in with Hannah Storm.
Okay, Dave, over in the National League, Colorado at San Francisco. Rockies had a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second when Larry Walker singles to right to score Ellis Burks to make it 2-0. Rockies, who led the Dodgers by a 1.5 games in the West, coming into action tonight. And those two teams hook up on Monday. Back to Seattle.
So there's Vince Coleman with a single off the glove of third baseman Jason Giambi. And some 50,000 fans here in Seattle, despite that 6-0 deficit, have a little hope here that the Mariners can crack the ice.
Vince Coleman's speed forces cornermen to play up, respecting his bunting ability, and that puts Giambi right on the back edge of that sliding pit. And you never know what's going to happen. That first bounce off the dirt of a sliding pit, it kind of came up on him a little bit. Giambi actually lucky he got a glove on the ball to prevent it from going down the left field corner, but there are runners at the corners, just 1 out for Seattle.
So the Mariners get closer to the pop and the sizzle in their lineup now with Joey Cora up there. And then you got to start wading through the heavy lumber. And Cora, tough man to double up. He runs well. A little low. Ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. The first real threat by the Mariners in this ball game here in the third. I have seen that work this year. Alex Rodriguez was picked off with that step-off fake to third, back to first. 1-1.
It will work occasionally, but until you develop a good move to third base, not too many people are going to bite on it.
Inside. 2-1.
Right now, Lou Pinella's thoughts have to be centered on scoring at least 1, hopefully a couple, but not trying to get the whole thing back right now unless things fall in place. You have to get on the board right here.
And the runner goes, and head first slide by Vince Coleman. And Vince Coleman, number 40 on the year, 738. Now tied with Max Carey for number 6 all-time in stolen bases.
And stole it off one of the better tandems in the American League. Terry Steinbach third in throwing out opposition runners. But Todd Van Poppel gave Coleman an opportunity. And all Steinbach could do was try and hurry the throw, which sailed high.
Of course, that eliminates the double play also. And a base hit here gets you a couple, especially with Coleman out there at second base. Cora line drive right to the second baseman gate. It did not eliminate the double play, did it? As Coleman kind of made a rookie mistake there. You got to make sure that ball goes through, and it did not, and Cora lines into the double play. And so the Mariners are denied, and we will return with Baseball Night in America after this from your local station. Well, the Mariners will have their biggest crowd of the year here tonight, and for the final series against the A's tomorrow, Sunday, and California, it looks like that the Mariners are going to draw 50,000 people each and every day, as pennant fever has gripped the Northwest for the first time in 19 years. Ricky Henderson had a big hit in the second, a 2-out double that cleared the bases, which were loaded. And he's also been denied on a fine play by Mike Blowers, the third baseman. 2-0 the count on him, leading off the fourth inning for the Oakland Athletics. Bingo, right down the middle.
I just hope for the Seattle area that this is not the last regular season homestand that they're able to watch.
Well, yes, I know what you mean, Steve. There are those who think that if the Mariners were forced to go into a lame duck year next year and the club is sold, that they would not, that they might play somewhere else. 73 pitches for Belcher. Well, that pitch mighty close, but Honora would not ring him up. That ball hit to Jr. in center field. So one out. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. By Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. And by the makers of Advil. Here's Baroja.
Dave, it's kind of my feeling that if the ball club were to leave the Seattle area, there would not be another major league club come into Seattle in the foreseeable future.
Well,
that's just my feeling.
Well, I think that's everybody's feeling up here, because this franchise born in 1977 out of a lawsuit to begin with after the Pilots left in April 1st, 1970 to become the Milwaukee Brewers, the best headed to the Midwest instead of the Northwest, out of Peoria, Arizona. And this has been a franchise that ball is hit into the gap and deep, and Jr. going back and on a kind of loping run makes the catch. That since their inception has struggled winning games, and it has always been my theory, and I talk a lot around here in the Northwest, talk to fans, that the fans, don't owe the Mariners anything. The Mariners owe them a competitive ball club, and all of a sudden, here's that competitive ball club, and they're showing up here at the tail end of a weird season in the history of baseball. Brent Gates is 2 for 2. With an outdoor stadium, a winning ball club, this is Cleveland all over again.
Exactly. And I'd hate to see an area as good as the Seattle area, the Northwest, that would not have a chance to have baseball because of the stigma of what has happened to the Mariners.
I never ever thought, going to Cleveland, I would ever broadcast a game and say, this is the baseball capital of America. Fastball jammed him, and he pops it up. And Joey Cora will put an end to the first 1-2-3 inning for Tim Belcher here in the ball game. And after 3.5, it is still 6-0 Oakland.
As the regular season winds down, the battle for remaining playoff spots hits the home stretch. Baseball Night in America next Friday night on NBC.
Well, Jr. leads it off as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning against Todd Van Poppel. Jr. and then Edgar Martinez and Tino Martinez. So we start rolling the lineup over in the interesting part. If you're Todd Van Poppel, the pitcher out there, you got to start bearing down now. This is the firepower part of the lineup for Seattle.
And having not scored last inning, Dave, I would think this is the inning the Mariners really have to put a number on the scoreboard besides a 0 to feel good about their chances in this game.
And that ball is hit deep to right field. Top of the wall are gone. Fly away. Jr. with a line drive drive home run, his 15th of the year, and when Junior starts hitting, and he is starting to hit, look out. And that usually will ignite his teammates, too. So a line drive home run by K.Griffey Jr., and it is 6-1.
Well, that's a quick way to get a point on the board. And Junior did it. Not just a rifle shot, and that's a good sign for the Mariners and also for K.Griffey, because he really got the head of the bat out, and that's something he's been having a problem doing since coming back from that broken wrist.
Here's Edgar Martinez now. And that's a strike on the inside corner, 1-1.
Van Poppel has that good fastball, and for K.Griffey to be able to get to it and drive it to right field, excellent sign. That tells you that wrist is starting to feel a little better. And he's getting that swing back to where it should be. Van Poppel trying to go away, and there's a mistake when you make it in the middle of the plate. Griffey had not been able to hit that mistake consistently before the last few ball games, and now he is.
0-2 the count, although I'm not sure I have ever seen a left-handed batter not able to hit a low inside fastball. 0-2 the count on Edgar Martinez.
If they couldn't, they didn't stay around very long.
That's right. And on the hands that time. And McGwire will give way to Gates, who will catch it right on the foul line. Right now, let's check in with Hannah Storm.
Okay, Dave, over in the American League, Padres at Dodgers. Fernando Valenzuela, an inauspicious return to Dodger Stadium. Bottom of the third, he gives up a 2-run single to Mike Piazza to make it 2-0. Roberto Kelly comes in to score, so does Brett Butler. Next batter is Eric Karros, a 2-run home run off Valenzuela. The 30th home run of the season for Karros. He now has 100 RBI, and Valenzuela yanks from the game. It's 4-0 Dodgers. Let's get back to Dave and Steve at the Kingdome.
All right, Anna, thank you very much. So Fernando getting wrapped around down in Los Angeles by his ex-teammates. Tino Martinez here has the count go to a ball and a strike on it. He fouled out to Terry Steinbach, the catcher, back in the second inning, so he's 0 for 1. It's 6-1 here, Oakland. The Mariners go with their big guy tomorrow, Randy Johnson. Now, I know Mike Mussina's won 17 games, but Randy Johnson, 260 strikeouts, leading the league in ERA. I would have to say, and I perhaps am prejudiced, I will admit, is the leading contender for the Cy Young in the American League this year. Again, in the National League, it's no contest.
I go along with you, Dave, in a heartbeat. Randy Johnson is the best pitcher in the American League, and if he threw the same number of strikes Greg Maddux did, they'd have to find a different league for him to play in.
Look at that. Talking about perhaps the World Series. Practice batting, Randy. So that's not really a good sign. Van Poppel quickly ahead of Tino, a ball and 2 strikes, and he ends up walking him.
Right fielder, number 19, J.Unit.
Well, that's the problem you have with this Mariner lineup. You give a walk to anybody from Griffey on down to Buhner, and you're asking for trouble. You lose that little control edge, and these guys don't miss too many mistakes.
Fastball, and he got away with one there. That's going to make its way back into the stands.
Well, that's the problem. When you walk a guy, your mentality immediately goes back to, hey, I can't walk people, and that's so many times stressed to young pitchers. I can't walk somebody, and the first thing you do is take just a little off, and it's not consciously, and you make a mistake in the middle of the plate, and now it's a 2-run home run after the walk.
Start aiming the ball.
Exactly.
Buhner sends a high fly ball into shallow right center field. Javier and Baroja converging, and it's going to be Baroja from under his cap for out number 2.
Yeah, Van Poppel doesn't have the kind of fastball that he takes out there every time. Buhner hits one of those 2 pitches into the seats. And we're only talking about the difference of probably 3 or 4 miles per hour on a fastball. But Van Poppel's fastball, when it's down in the strike zone, is fairly straight. He doesn't have a good running or tailing fastball or a cut fastball. But Buhner just a little late on those 2 pitches.
Van Poppel, his first complete game victory in his last outing, and threw just barely over 100 pitches, didn't he?
105, I believe the total was.
101 on Blowers. Staying away from Blowers, and I would say that of Blowers' 22 home runs, he's probably hit 15 of them over that right center field sector. Whoever has been here at the Kingdome or on the road, he will go with a pitch. 2-2.
That wasn't where Van Poppel wanted the pitch. He missed by the full width of the plate, but to my way of thinking, that's where you want to pitch Mike Blowers when you have a good fastball. Keep the ball tight on him, even though he's back off the plate some. Hitters that do that, back off the plate, a lot of times take that plate with them, and will swing at the pitch 4 or 5 inches inside.
Fastball down the middle of the plate, and it's hammered deep to right center field, and that's going to be off the top of the wall. So here comes Tino around third. They're going to try and score him. Relay to the plate, way offline. It's 6-2. Blowers hits that ball 5 feet to the left, and it goes off the turf, and it's a home run. We were talking about him going that way.
You hit it right on the head, Dave. I just don't see where you can pitch Mike Blowers out there consistently unless you cut the ball to make it run away from him, because the mistake that a pitcher is going to make, a right-handed pitcher, if you miss anywhere, it's going to run back to the middle. That's exactly what happened with Van Poppel, and that is right in Blowers' wheelhouse. Van Poppel and the Athletics lucky that ball didn't get out of here, either high enough or just a few feet to the left, as you mentioned.
It was only about a foot from being out and about 10 feet from being off the tarpon left field.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are reminded.
So the Mariners slice 2 off the 6-run lead.
Anyone caught throwing objects onto the field will be removed from the stadium and subject to arrest. Thank you.
Base hit here by Soho, and it becomes a, well, it's an interesting game now, but it becomes much more interesting. Soho will back away from anything.
He'll back away from an inside fastball and hit it down the right field line.
That's right. Curve way outside.
If you look in the dictionary under the definition of free swinger, they have Louis' picture. He and Ozzie Guillen will be side by side.
Again, may have a little bit more mustard on him than Soho does.
Yeah, I agree with that.
2-1 on Luis. He had a big game here on Wednesday night against the Texas Rangers, a career high, as a matter of fact, 6 RBIs. On the outside corner, good fastball. But again, a pitch that almost looked like it was aimed at him. Soho is a dead high fastball hitter. He'll hit it out at any part. You throw him a high fastball. That's down the middle.
Now, Soho, the kind of guy you can throw the ball close to the middle of the plate and not worry about him hurting you too much power-wise. He is very much a high fastball hitter. One thing you don't want to do is get it up in the middle of the plate and let him have a real good rip at it.
High fastball, man. He got away with what?
Now, that's Soho's wheelhouse. You get it up high, and nobody else could hit a Van Poppel fastball up there, but Soho goes up after it and tries to tomahawk it. He comes very close to getting all of that. They're just a little bit late. Van Poppel still with enough velocity to get it by.
Outside, so 2 aboard with 2 down for Dan Wilson. 2 walks in the inning, given up by Van Poppel. Belcher walked 2 in the second, and they both came around to score. By far his highest pitch inning, 27. 65, nothing to worry about. As far as strength is concerned, he's got a lot of pitches left. But Dan Wilson hits a gapper here. And the Mariners are right back in it. Fastball on the outside corner.
Van Poppel very definitely strong enough to throw 115, 120, 130 pitches, but the quality of those pitches begins to diminish as fatigue sets in. And the point where that fatigue sets in is what a pitching coach and a manager will look for.
A little low. What's the most pitches? Do you have any idea you ever threw in a ball game, Steve?
Highest I can remember was 197. That was in a 12-inning ball game.
It was not common, but it was not rare for Nolan Ryan to throw 200 pitches.
Right.
A ball game. Oh, yeah. Uncle Charlie that time. Whew.
Quality of that pitch is not diminished. But Nolan, you know, and you think about a guy getting tired, it's not the arm that gets tired first, it's the legs. And Nolan had such strong legs. Lord, he could throw all day long if he cared to.
High fastball. 1-2 on Dan Wilson. Nolan was a leg wrestler. I've never heard that, but he was a leg wrestler as a kid. Had the big thighs and really had perfect mechanics.
Yes. That combination will keep you around. Maybe not 27 years for everybody, but it'll keep you around a while.
1-2 pitch. Fastball. Hanging in there. Junior's home run starting the inning. And the Mariners have added 1 more with 2 on and 2 down. Curveball and a ground ball back up the middle, and a great stop by Bordick, who straightens up and won't get it. And the Mariners have the bases loaded for V.Coleman. But Bordick saves a run.
And give Luis Soho credit, because the only play that Bordick had was at second base to get an out. And Soho getting a great jump from first on the ground ball up the middle, making sure he ran hard to the bag, made a good slide to get there quickly. That took the force out away. Bordick, with a little hesitation, hoping to have an out at second, then realized he didn't, had to throw to first. That was enough for Wilson to beat it. That might be the key play in this ball game if V.Coleman can come through for the Mariners.
V.Coleman has not hit a home run for Seattle. What a spot for one, representing the tying run at the plate. He hit 4 for the Kansas City Royals. And Dave Duncan the pitching coach out to have a chat. As left-hander Mike Moeller gets up and starts to throw for Oakland. It has been a struggle for Todd Van Poppel here in the 4th inning. Now if Mr. Coleman could just answer Ricky Henderson's gapper in the left center with one into right center here, we got ourselves an interesting fray this evening, and it's going to be interesting anyway. Lou's got the juices going a little bit, got those mandibles jumping up and down, blowing some bubbles. Coleman hits a fly ball deep to right field, and that's going to fly! A grand slam home run for Vince Coleman. My, oh my! We are even at 6. Indeed, if he could only hit a home run here, number 1 for the Mariners, and they're going crazy in Seattle. Look at that smile. The Mariners down 6-0 and fall back to get even with a half a dozen of their own here in the 4th. So all of a sudden, Todd Van Poppel's slam, the Mariners are right back at square one. And here is Joey Cora, the 9th man to come to the plate. And they want Vince to come out. They want to push him out. Get out there, Vince. There he goes.
There you go.
There he goes. I love it.
You're not by chance in the tarot card reading business, are you, for this evening? Coleman getting what I think was, again, not 100% Van Poppel fastball. Got it out over the plate, just above knee-high, probably thigh-high. And Vince Coleman left no doubt. Hit that line shot into the seat. Get a shot at it from center field, trying to go away. Never got it out there. Just at thigh-high. And it was not 100% of Poppel's velocity.
That's the sweet part of the bat. And Coleman rounds them all with a slam. A grand slam home run from Vince Coleman. That's Jim McKean, and he is warning Piniella about debris being thrown onto the field, lest we forget what happened in Los Angeles.
That's exactly right. That forfeit. This kind of reaction from the fans in Los Angeles a couple of months ago, and it cost the Dodgers a game which they were leading at the time. And you would hate to see anything approach that possibility with the Mariners coming back in this ball game and being on top in the American League West at this moment.
Listen to this crowd when Vince Coleman hit the home run, the grand slam home run. Nice catch out there, too, by a fan who'll hang on to that. I'll bet you Vince Coleman wants that baseball back. Again, the announcement from the PA announcer not to throw foreign objects onto the field, even though it'd be nothing but paper airplanes. And here's Joey Cora sending a ground ball to shortstop Bordick, and it's over, but the damage has been done as a grand slam home run by Vince Coleman gets the Mariners right back even. After 4 in Seattle, the Mariners 6, the Athletics 6. Well, it all started in Homestead, Florida for that man, Vince Coleman, and his first career grand slam has gotten the Mariners even here at 6-6 as he salutes the crowd, and believe me, he has found a home in Seattle after Kansas City cut him loose, and he was doing a heck of a job for the Royals at the time, too. This is Mark McGwire leading it off and sending a pop-up to shallow center field, and no problem for Junior this time. 1 out.
That's a very big out for Belcher. Gets the
Very big inning for Belcher.
very big inning, and to get McGwire out of the way, you're not going to breathe that much easier, but it's nice to know that he no longer can, with one swing of the bat, erase what happened last inning, that tying the ball game.
Giambi has not gotten the ball out of the infield. Grounded to first and grounded to third.
You're talking about Vince Coleman. You have to have a lot of admiration for a guy who got caught in a youth movement in Kansas City, was a little disappointed because of the kind of year he had been having, found a home over here, and as you mentioned, had to struggle in the spring to get a job. Now had to struggle to get playing time with a ball club that wasn't a contender when he came here, has become not only a contender, they're on top. And Vince Coleman has been a very big part of that.
And a ground ball off the front of the mound behind the bag at second. Soho scoops it and throws him out. So 2 out. And all of a sudden, Belcher's beginning to get a little string going for himself. He's retired the last 6 in a row.
Well, Belcher having problems early, and you wonder how many pitches that he's going to be good for. He's up in the upper 80s now as far as his pitch count. But Belcher's the kind of guy you give him a chance to settle down, and he can get that done with the best of them.
Challenge is startable with a fastball. 0-1. Tries to run one in, and he does, but too far inside. Bill Risley, in reserve down in the bullpen, just standing at the present time, not throwing in case Belcher quickly runs out of gas.
This is the time of the ball game now that Lou Piniella would feel much more secure in going to his bullpen. If you get past the early stages of the ball game, that bullpen has more consistent folks in it to go to from the 5th inning on. That's true of most bullpens, but in a big game like this, that becomes a critical factor.
Lars has it on the second. Up and guns him out of there. So the 5th is history, and Belcher indeed has settled down. 1, 2, 3, the Oakland story, and halfway there, 4.5. We're tied. 6-6. Well, a couple of ex-National Leaguers, one from the San Diego Padres, one from the St. Louis Cardinals, who have had a lot to do with this late surge for the Mariners here at the end of the year, high-fiving each other as Jr., who ignited it in the 4th inning with his home run. I told you that his teammates usually follow him, and they did after that solo home run. The Mariners scored 5 runs after 2 were out last inning. 0-1 on Junior. Quickly, 2 strikes.
I think he's a little bit pumped up. Vince Coleman. He's been there before, and that gets guys, I think guys that have been there before know what it's like to win, get more pumped up, if it's conceivable, than the young guys.
Curveball, a little bit low. Another one, same spot.
Ooh. That's a pretty good hook that he can feature. Dan Popple has certainly all the makings of a future superstar in this league.
Fastball, he runs away. So, again, he had him 2 strikes, and he's taking him full. And there's Edgar on deck. Curveball that time, and spanked hard, and a nice play by Gates at second base. And he throws out Junior. Tomorrow, following live Ryder Cup coverage, NBC Sports presents more exciting NFL action at the special time of 3:30 p.m. Eastern with the NFL on NBC. Featured on our lineup of action, John Elway, who pulled off more than last-minute heroics against Washington last week. He takes his Broncos to San Diego to take on Junior Seau and the Chargers. Another game, some of you will see Steve Bono and the Chiefs head into the dog pound to battle Vinny Testaverde and the Browns. Others will see the Oilers visit the Bengals or the Jets take on Atlanta. You check your local listings for the game in your area. Edgar Martinez puts that one back into the stands. One strike. For a moment or so, a little semblance of normalcy here after the explosion of the grand slam home run by V.Coleman. A ball and 2 strikes. Vince and Junior. Fastball hammered foul. Right-hander down there you just got a peek of is Carlos Reyes. There's the big unit. Randy Johnson seated next to Tim Belcher. Randy takes his show out to the Hill tomorrow against Doug Johns, who's 5-1. The Rook has done a good job for Tony La Russa. High fastball. Steinbach running out of room. Terry Steinbach still makes his home in Minnesota in the cold country out there. He just kind of looks like not only a catcher, which he is, but a hockey player, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he does. Yes, he does. University of Minnesota.
As is the other man catching, Dan Wilson for Seattle. Fastball jammed it. Remember, the Angels have lost. The Mariners could sail all the way to the top by a game with a win over Oakland tonight. As far as the wild card race is concerned, the Yankees were rained out. The curve outside. Went down, popped up a fastball. McGwire has it for out number 2 here in the 5th inning. A reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent from the Office of the Commissioner. I'm Dave Niehaus along with Steve Busby at the Kingdome in Seattle. Tony La Russa has seen a 6-run lead evaporate in this ball game. Tino walked his last at bat. Got 10.
Well, he does. And he has the kind of fastball to go along with it. It's very complimentary. That good riding fastball when he gets it up above belt high.
And that pitch is hit to center field. And Javier will take care of that. So the Mariners also go 1-2-3 in the 5th, as did the A's. And after 5, we've got a dandy. The Mariners 6, the Athletics 6.
Third Dame. Ailing coach Lou Holtz will be on their minds when they face nationally ranked Texas. Saturday at 12:30 Eastern on NBC.
51,500, the largest crowd of the year in Seattle tonight, watching an interesting ball game, to say the least. The Mariners falling behind. Yeah, right now they're thinking about the Western Division title. The wild card, they're kind of as insurance, I would think, as the fans would think of it right now. And they hope that the Yankees will cool off. As we have mentioned throughout this final, well, the last 3 weeks or so, and the swing through the East, particularly in Boston. The Mariners, the club, nobody wants to play in the playoffs. The Red Sox, if the Mariners won the wild card, would be here for the first 2 games. Strike on the outside corner.
And the Mariners have played Cleveland well, too. They are 4-5 against the Tribe. The deep six. If you want to know who the deep six are, foul back. A fan approached me the other day and handed me a T-shirt with the deep six. The deep six are Junior, Edgar, Tino, Buhner, Blowers. Is that 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's the other one? Oh, Wilson. Ken Wilson. Routine fly ball. And all of a sudden, that's 8 in a row retired by Tim Belcher. Sunday at 8, 7 Central. It's the premiere of Mad About You. Big news, there may be a baby on the way. Don't miss the big event. The premiere of Mad About You, Sunday at 8, 7 Central on NBC. Here's Stan Javier. Stan Javier is the last man to get a base hit off Belcher. A little flare, and that drove in a run. The third run of the third inning. And Tino will take it on one hop and lead Belcher nicely.
That's an awfully good job by Tim Belcher of getting off the mound in a hurry. Stan Javier can fly from that left side of the plate. He gets down there in a hurry, and for Belcher to beat him, he has to anticipate moving that way. He did very well, and Tino Martinez gave him a good beat out in front of the bag so he could make the catch and then find the bag, not have to do them both at the same time.
Mike Bordy had a couple of Ks hanging around his neck, looking in the second, swinging in the third. $51,500. I'll bet you anything they're more than that tomorrow night with Randy Johnson.
I would think so. And all 51,500 brought their best voices tonight, too.
On the outside corner, and Belcher all of a sudden is Sherwin-Williams, man. He's painting.
He is right back to where he was in the first inning. And remarked that everything was down and on one half of the plate or the other.
And on the outside part of the plate again, and Bordy just having to protect it, throws a log out there and puts it back in his stand. Russo, will he or won't he stay in Oakland? The hook that time, the curveball got him, and that's 10 in a row for Tim Belcher, and Big Mo is all of a sudden shifting to Seattle's side after 5.5, tied 6-6.
Tonight on NBC, as the regular season winds down, the battle for remaining playoff spots hits the home stretch. Baseball Night in America next Friday night on NBC.
We're all tied up at 6, going to the bottom of the 6th in Seattle. Let's check into Los Angeles. Padres in town. Dodgers up 4-1, but they've had some trouble against the Padres this season. And Scott Livingstone giving them trouble tonight. A double into the gap to score 2 to pull the Padres within a run and to knock Kevin Tapani out of this game. It's 4-3 Dodgers now. Let's send you back to Dave and Steve.
Okay, Hannah, Jay Buhner leading it off here in the 7th inning. Hits a routine fly ball to center fielder Stan Javier. So one away in the 6th inning in this ball game, tied at 6-6. And Mike Blowers, who took one high off the wall that kept to keep the momentum going in the 4th inning, just missed a home run by a foot. Will be the hitter now.
See if Oakland changes their pitching pattern to Mike Blowers. They had tried to stay away with all fastballs.
That pitch has popped up. I thought he got a little bit more, but then he did. Just a routine fly ball. So Baroja will make the catch, and quickly 2 down. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. And by Network MCI, how to get modern communications technology working for your business. Luis Soto. A walk in that big run, six-inning explosion.
Might have been the most important at bat in that inning. Van Poppel got ahead. He eventually lost the number 8 hitter. And then the gates opened up for Seattle with the base hit and then the grand slam.
Base hit, rammed on a line into right field. So Luis has not let up from his other night with the against Texas.
The catcher, Dan Wilson.
Dan Wilson, the infield hit that loaded the bases and set the table for Vince Coleman in the 4th. And he also doubled in the 3rd. La Russa wants to go out and talk to Van Poppel. Moeller is the left-hander. Carlos Reyes, the right-hander. Working for the Athletics out in the bullpen.
Hey, Tony going out just to reassert the idea that even though there was an infield hit from Dan Wilson last time, the pitching pattern was the right thing. That was what they wanted to do. And it's a little bit easier following a base hit than it is a walk to accept that. When you end up walking somebody, it's hard to get yourself back in the idea of, hey, we're doing the right thing.
One and all. So it's 2 balls and no strike. On the outside corner. The Kansas City Royals were in this thing until they came to Seattle, and then they went home. And it looked like they might get healthy because they had a 5-game series against the Minnesota Twins, and Minnesota beat them, what, 4 times?
Yes, sure did.
4-5.
And then they finish off with Cleveland a couple of times, and that's not an easy task.
And a ground ball toward the hole. Good stop by Bordick, and from his knees will go to second and get the force on Luis Soto to end the inning. So the Mariners get a hit, but that's all, and we're still tied at 6, and we'll return with Baseball Night in America after this from your local station. Well, we start at the top of the list here in the 7th inning. Ricky Henderson, Geronimo Baroja, and Brent Gates. Mr. Tim Belcher had a couple of potholes in the road in the 2nd and the 3rd, but he certainly righted the ship. And Mr. Henderson, who had the big bases loaded clearing double in the 2nd inning, is in the hole 0-1. 51,500 here tonight. That slider out. 1 ball and 1 strike. The tall left-hander is Lee Guterman. Bill Risley is the right-hander. Belcher, 108 pitches, so he's not too long for this ball game. That just misses in. 2 balls and a strike. Ricky, a line shot down the left field line, and Coleman can't get it. He'll have to watch it go up against the tarp for a ground rule double. So the string comes to an end at 10 as Ricky has his 2nd double of the ball game.
Yeah, that might do it for Tim Belcher tonight. You mentioned the pitch total is now at about 110, and Henderson able to drive this fastball to left field. Might be a pretty good indication that both location and velocity are a bit lacking for Tim Belcher. And he's going to face Baroa.
He's punched out Baroa twice and fly to left center. And in this situation here, if you are Tim Belcher, and he's a veteran, your antennae go up a little bit, as do Dan Wilson, because Ricky has been known to kill for third base in a situation like this in a tie ball game. But the old adage of never wanting to make the first or the third out at third base kind of comes in here in the tie ball game.
Yeah, you better make sure you make it if you're going to go with nobody out. 112 pitches now, and I think it's really saved him the 5th and 6th innings. Kept his pitch total down, got some very quick outs.
Who's that pitch?
I don't have an answer for you. I have to ask Brian O'Nora after a while. I think Lupinello was asking him right there.
Buzz, did you ever find that if you were chagrined on an umpire's call or questioned his call, that the plate continued to get smaller and smaller?
If I mentioned it to him, yes. Yeah, it became about the size of a teacup.
Full count.
And maybe that was just my imagination. You know, really, the pitcher is in the worst position of anybody on the diamond to call a ball and a strike. Following through, throwing the ball. I tried not to argue too much or say too much, because I knew I was not with the best view of the pitch.
He took a cut at probably ball 4 there. That probably keeps Belcher in this ball game right now, as Brent Gates, the switch hitter, comes up. And now it's time for tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust Baseball Park. Whose birthday is it? 68 years ago today? Yeah. Tommy Lasorda. And our question is, who is the only manager ever to participate in postseason play after his 70th birthday? Lou is headed toward the mound. And we'll give you the answer in the bottom half of this inning. I think I know, and I So, Belcher, after giving up 6 runs, hung in there. The Mariners got him his 6th back, but right now he's on the hook with Ricky Henderson belonging to him out there at second base, and a crowd of 51,500 giving Belcher a round of applause. The ball is handed to Bill Risley, and while the change is made, we'll take this timeout. Runs even, the hits even, and Tim Belcher, after throwing 116 pitches, is done. Did his job after the 3rd inning on, and he will have nothing to do with this ball game as far as winning it is concerned. He could lose it if Henderson comes in to score, and the A's hang on. There's Bill Risley, hard-throwing right-hander out of Chicago now to face Brent Gates. Risley's a guy that will give you everything on every pitch.
That's why he's been so successful coming out of the bullpen. His 43rd time out, and he's kind of the long setup man, if you will. Get that ball up there in a hurry. That strikeout to walk ratio, incredible. Just 65 strikeouts to 17 walks. Opponent's hitting just 241 off the right hand.
And going to third, Ricky. Yeah, he's got it. So that's number 32 for Ricky Henderson. Good job by Blowers of keeping that ball from going into left field. Now the infield will have to come up.
Henderson may be the best at stealing third base when he gets a pitcher read, and he only had seen one of Risley's offerings, but he was convinced the hard-throwing right-hander was not going to check him back twice. Risley didn't, and Henderson said, okay, I'm gone. And he was.
That's it. Base hit, infield in, and the A's take the lead 7-6. So that's the price you pay when you have to bring the infield in. And Oakland up by 1 now as Mark McGwire will step up to the plate so he can close the book on Tim Belcher. 8 hits, 7 runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. McGwire hit the first pitch from Belcher out for a 2-run home run in the 3rd. And Brent Gates, who has been a pest to the Mariners all year long, is again 3 for 4 tonight.
If you look back on that steal of third base, it probably distracted Risley enough to where he did not get that pitch to Gates, or he would have liked to. Tommy Reynolds, the third base coach over there, and with Gates on first, you have to be aware of a potential steal.
Two and oh.
To get a guy like Henderson on base, and it will really distract, particularly an inexperienced pitcher. You'll try and divide your concentration between the runner and the hitter, and very rarely does that work out. Henderson putting a lot of pressure on the defense and on the pitcher-catcher combination.
Ricky Henderson has been in the doghouse as usual again this year. When about a month ago there were rumors that that the Cleveland Indians were interested in him as insurance. Ricky said, "Sure, man, I can help that ball club." And Lewis had basically said, "How about the ball club you're playing for?"
Well, he was in the doghouse, but he had to wait for Ruben Sierra to vacate it before he could get in there.
2-1 on Mark McGwire. Count is even now.
You know, the question I asked about Henderson, thinking he'd help the Cleveland ball club, where was he going to play?
Exactly. What an outfield.
Oh. And they've already got a pretty good DH in Eddie Murray.
Pretty fair left fielder. He's probably going to be the MVP.
Yes.
Not close to it. Got him to pop it up again. And Luis Sojo is going to call for it. He will make the catch. We got the great speed of Lofton in center. And Manny Ramirez, who's just phenomenal in right field. He's not a great right fielder, but get something, isn't he?
Third baseman Jason Giambi.
He probably improved as quickly as anybody on that ball club. He went from Double-A just 2 years ago to being one of the best in the business in right field, or the hitter, and becoming a good right fielder.
Giambi, 3 ground balls. Grizzly, a little unusual. Watch the way he takes the ball out of the glove before he delivers it. Straight back. Right there. Inside corner.
The little mechanical change that some pitchers will make when they have trouble getting their arm going forward quickly enough. Their arm lags behind their body. They try and get them to get the ball out of the glove faster so that at least the arm's in motion earlier.
Two and one on Giambi. 7-6 Oakland, and we are 2 outs in the 7th inning. Leadoff double by Ricky Henderson. Stolen base. There it is.
You would call that a little timing mechanism. It's like a hitter shifting his bat back and forth, his hands back and forth, or maybe moving a foot. This gets that arm in motion a little more quickly.
One around and a high fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Perhaps the most unusual batting stance in the American League. the bat of Mickey Tittle.
Yes. But since Julio Franco left, I would agree with you.
That's right. Julio had a whirlwind, too. 2-2 fastball foul back as they put Gates in motion. The dreaded Oakland A's, and believe me, here in Seattle they are. Thinking that Gates may be trying it one more time. He goes over. He's staying, and the pitch is sprayed foul, and M.Blowers giving chase. Comes up short. Bobby Ayala on your right, he was throwing, and now Jeff Nelson. Soon to be a new papa. Going down to the pen. Matter of fact, left is right. Jay Buhner and K.Griffey Jr. started just rubbing her belly for good luck, and they go by and rub it every night now before the ball game. I'm sure that after this season is over, that the playoff system, the schedule, not the system, I'm sure they'll keep the wild card, but the playoff schedule will be revisited, because that's going to have to be fine-tuned. It just doesn't seem fair to a lot of ball clubs winning divisions not being able to play at home to begin with. As in the case, if the Mariners won the wild card, they would get the first 2 games against the Boston Red Sox. Out here, very easily Boston could go home down 2 and have to win 3 in a row.
That's one thing if it were a 7-game series, but a 5-game series, that's paramount that you had those first 2 opportunities at home.
2-2 on Giambi and making it tough on Risley. Ground ball hit to second. And Joey's got it. But the A's retake the lead here with a run in the 7th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. Oakland 7, the Mariners 6.
All right, everybody, up on your feet.
Well, the ovation is for V.Coleman as the Athletics have taken the lead by a score of 7-6. And this is why everybody is up. With the sacks juiced in the 4th inning, Coleman hits his first career grand slam home run. And at that time, tied the ball game at 6-6. And he leads it off here against a new left-hander, Mike Moeller.
Well, Mike Moeller really on quite a roll. He's retired the last 12 hitters that he has faced in succession, and he's only given up 1 run over his last 14 outings. Only 1 time against Seattle this year. This is his 24th appearance of the season. You saw that 3.10 ERA for Moeller. He's only worked in 20 innings. His big problem, though, has been control. If anything, he gets himself into a little jam that way. 15 walks and 20 in the 3rd would attest to that fact.
Curveball, and down goes V.Coleman. Good yacker at that. So 1 down in the 7th inning.
Second baseman, Joey Cora.
Joey tonight lined into a double play, and Coleman got cut as he hit the ball right to Gates, and Mariners had runners at 2nd and 3rd, but Coleman was too far off the bag to get back, and Gates went to Bordick for the easy out, the 2nd out on the end of the double play. One.
You would figure that Moeller on here only to face 3 hitters, and if he gets them out in order, that's fine. He's probably done for the evening. But you turn Coleman and Cora around to their weaker sides. That's in the right hand and right-handed batter's box. Then you have Griffey to follow.
Breaking ball inside and low ball, 2 balls and a strike. leading off that 6-run fourth inning. It's back into about 4 or 5 of the 51,500 that are here tonight. By far the Mariners' biggest crowd of the year, and I would not be surprised to see this place sold out tomorrow night for Randy Johnson pitching. And the Joey chants beginning to rain down. Joey Cora out of Puerto Rico, originally with the San Diego Padres, then sent to the White Sox, where he was standing. And Cora sends a soft one-hopper to Bordy. He gets everything. He is outstanding out of that number 6 spot, shortstop. Well, here is tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust answer. He's the only manager to ever participate in postseason play after his 70th birthday. Yeah, both in baseball and I'm sure off the field. Casey Stengel. What a delight. The old professor managed the Yankees in 1960 at the age of 70 when Bill Mazereski hit that home run off Ralph Terry at Forbes Field. One ball and no strikes. Always a glitter in Casey's eye. One on Junior. And there's Daddy. K.Griffey Sr.
Not a bad hitter himself. Matter of fact.
Two and one, Junior. Don't think so. And that's Javier, and that will be that for the Mariners in the 7th. As they go 1, 2, 3, we'll go to the 8th with Tartabull, Steinbach, and Javier due up in 7-6 Oakland.
For 1996.
Scores. Colorado leads San Francisco, point guard for 7 years, and a fairly nice deal, right around $22 million.
Well, it is Fan Appreciation Night here at the Kingdome in Seattle, and certainly the fans have appreciated what they have seen with this late-season surge from the Seattle Mariners. As you look at the man with the wicked breaking balls, the sliders, Jeff Nelson take over, and does what a job this man has done for Seattle this year.
Oh, he is a dandy. Every time I have seen him, he has been just unhittable, and 89 strikeouts. He is, behind Bobby Ayala, the most often used by Lupinell out of that bullpen. He is a short setup man, what I would call him, for Norm Charlton now.
Breaking ball high, 1 ball and no strikes.
Right-handers have to feel almost as badly about facing him as left-handers do about facing Randy Johnson. And they're hitting the .163 off of Nelson. Although not quite as intimidating, maybe.
There he's talking about the slider.
That's a nasty breaking ball, especially when he starts it inside like that. That's very difficult for a right-hander to anticipate that and do anything with it. Even if you do anticipate it, you're most likely to pull it foul. Well, the Mariners can field a pretty good basketball team, at least the front line down there. Johnson and Guterman and Nelson. That's,
Bennis.
Yeah.
6'6".
That's right.
Slider. 2-2.
Tartabull swinging a fastball and got a slider. That's usually not a good combination for the hitter.
Well, if Nelly throws a fastball, they'll try to run it in on him. He throws a breaking ball instead and misses inside.
Might as well gear up for it, Dan. Here comes another one.
And a soft little looper into left field, going to drop for a base hit right in front of Vince Coleman. So Tardebo leads it off with a safety here in the 8th. You know, we're talking about the Mariners bullpen of Ayala, Nelson, and Charlton, who's just been phenomenal. And it was about 10 days or so ago, I went up to Norm Charlton and I said, I've got a new nickname for you. I used it on the air last night. I'm going to have a pinch runner over at first base for Danny Tardebo.
Jose Herrera, the young center fielder. And a real speedster coming on now.
So he's going to run for Tardebo. But Charlton's done such a good job in coming in perilous situations and getting save after save after save. I just thought of I said, you're Wyatt Earp now. You're the sheriff. He said, I like that. I like that. So I've been using the sheriff. And I read a story about him in a local paper today. He has a ranch down in Texas. As Steinbach tries to get the bunt down and can't, fouls it to the plate. 0-1 the count. His next-door neighbors who watch the farm when he's gone, his wife back down there, her name is Earp. It's unbelievable.
Here's a left-hander right in the middle of your picture.
There he is. Steinbach checking in with Tommy Reynolds to see if the bunt is still on. Jose Herrera, bench running for Danny Tardebo in a 7-6 Oakland lead here in the 8th inning. Likely to see an old friend and old nemesis before this ball game is over. Dennis Eckersley. There goes Herrera on the pitch out. Throw through by Wilson. Right on the money. See you later, Jose. So the Mariners guess right. Let's take a look at it. This is going to be our MCI proof positive replay. Right on the money. The Mariners guess right. So a big out here in the 8th.
Dan Wilson and Lou Piniella teaming up, calling the pitch out, and Wilson getting the throw to Soho in plenty of time.
And a little dunker into shallow center field, and Junior's going to have to play it on a hop right off the end of the bat. So that becomes a bigger out now. Caught stealing Jose Herrera. All right, now let's check in with Hannah Storm.
Okay, Dave, San Diego at Los Angeles all tied up at 4. Bottom of the 5th row. Mondesi has runners at the corners. And Mondesi with a grounder, which goes off the glove of Andújar Cedeno. Mike Piazza comes in to score, and the Dodgers take a 5-4 lead. They add another one. It is now 6-4. They're back on top over the Padres, trying to keep pace with the Rockies, who are in San Francisco tonight, leading 5-1 in the bottom of the 6th. And a bright point for the Giants, if you will, as Barry Bonds steals second, giving him 30 steals on the season, the first 30-30 player for San Francisco since 1973 when his father, Bobby, accomplished that feat. But they're trailing 6-1. Dave and Steve?
Well, back here at the Kingdome, a 7-6 lead for the Oakland Athletics. They have Terry Steinbach at first base, and the hitter, Stan Javier, has taken a pitch out of the strike zone. Ball 1, 1 ball and no strikes in a conference at the mound between Dan Wilson and Jeff Nelson. First 30 man for the Giants since Daddy.
You got to keep in the family. That's
Lee Guterman is on the right side, the left-hander, and Bobby Ayala, who all of a sudden is a setup man for Norm Charlton. Is the other right-hander throwing. Backdoor slider. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yes, sir.
Those two pitches back-to-back show you why Jeff Nelson is extremely tough on left-handers, too. They're just hitting 239 against him. That good tailing fastball, and then also that backdoor breaking ball you talked about, Dave. Murderous combination for them.
Slider again, and a double play ball hit to Cora. Underhand shovel to Soho. His relay back to first. Nicely done. 4-6-3, and the A's are denied here in the 8th inning. We'll go to the bottom half of the 8th. 7-6 Athletics.
On the Tonight Show, Mad About You premieres this Sunday, but you can catch Paul Reiser tonight and find out what he thinks about being a new dad.
Now you've come up with a name. Have you done all this? Ezra, Samuel. We loved Ezra. We loved Samuel. I wasn't sure about Reiser. I was going to go with Sinatra, maybe.
Sinatra's good. And a special performance by Paula Abdul, plus Dick Clark, Bad Girls, and Party Dolls, followed by an all-new Conan tonight.
7-6, the Oakland Athletics leading as we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Watch this little guy turn to here. Nice backhand or underhand feed, I should say, to Soho. And the relay just in time to get Stan Javier. And as we go to the bottom half of the 8th, new pitcher coming in for the Oakland Athletics. And I'm sure he's just setting the table for Dennis Eckersley. But here's Jim Corsi.
Jim Corsi in his 35th game now on that very fine ERA of 173. And Corsi, probably the veteran down there besides Eckersley, and he has been used in this situation quite a bit. 24 walks, 24 strikeouts. Not really impressive in 41 innings, but Corsi kind of the bulldog type of guy that Tony La Russa likes to use, especially in the middle of an order like this when you have to face Edgar Martinez to start things off. Corsi has had the experience that La Russa likes to have out there right now.
Corsi, as you can see, barrel-chested. He'll come right after you. Edgar Martinez, a base hit in the second. His batting average at .354, right where it was when he started play today. Of course, he misses a little bit low. Ball 1. This crowd is just wanting to explode. And see if the Mariners can pull this one out. They will explode. And that pitch is belted deep to left center field, and that will fly away. And we are even at 7, and listen to this crowd. Edgar Martinez with his 29th home run, his 108th RBI, and here are the Mariners right back out 7-7. Edgar has been absolutely amazing. Muchísimo caliente all year long.
One thing that Corsi had not done this year that La Russa would take out there was give up the long ball. That is the second home run that he has given up this season. But Edgar Martinez is not your normal right-handed hitter, especially in a situation where the game is on the line late in the contest. And basically right down the middle, that fastball catching a lot of the plate. And Edgar Martinez letting it out of here in a hurry.
Edgar acknowledging the crowd. Turned that one over a little bit and got the outside corner. Listen to this crowd after Edgar Martinez goes deep here. Tino base hit right back up the middle. Believe me, these Mariners are beginning to believe in themselves. I remember Tug McGraw. You gotta believe, and the Mariners are right now believing. Rick Honeycutt, who started his major league career right here in Seattle. That was a darn good starting pitcher for the Mariners. Rich Amaral will go in, and he will run for Tino Martinez at first base. So Lou trying to win this ball game right here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. And the sheriff, Wyatt Earp himself, is up starting to throw.
Amaral brings that element of speed to the Mariner base pass right now. He's a guy that can get you a base, and obviously you're not going to have Jay Buhner bunting in this situation. Well, I would imagine if Buhner gets down to 2 strikes, you'll see Amaral try and go ahead and swipe second.
Well, Jay Buhner was around to bunt.
My goodness. Well, he already has one this year. I guess his quote is 2.
Amaral has been successful on 19 of 21 attempts in stealing bases also.
The Angels, 24 of the last 33 ball games, 32 ball games.
Right. 26 of their last 33. 8 in a row they have lost. The Mariners were 11.5 games back of California on August the 23rd, almost a month ago to the day. Showing the bunt. 2-0.
Maybe they keep him around there. I'm not sure that the Jay is on turf anyway. The best guy to have bunting, but Lou Piniella trying to get that go-ahead run into scoring position.
And Buhner bunts it on a couple of hops. That'll get the job done as McGwire will go back to Gates. M.Blowers will be the hitter.
You got to give Jay Buhner credit in that position. I don't think that he anticipated when he walked to home plate he'd be asked to bunt, but he did the job, got the bunt down, and the Mariners a very hot ball club, and little things like this could make the difference. The key base hit has come often for Seattle of late, and I think that's what Lou Piniella is banking on, that Blowers or Soho is going to get the job done.
Mariners trying to run their string out to 4 and 8 of their last 9 and 10 of their last 12. Of course, he really turns that ball over.
He does. He does. That's why he hasn't given up many home runs this year. And Edgar Martinez got one that did not do anything from Corsi. The turned me over that stayed pretty straight.
There's his breaking ball. That was just, I guess, his little slider. 2-0. And now Blowers can be selected here. He can not only look for a fastball or a breaking ball, but in a certain location.
I've got to think with Blowers hitting as well as he has, I'd go ahead and block off the inner part of the plate, look for a breaking ball away.
High fastball inside, and he almost walked into it. 3-0.
That's just what he was doing, too. He was looking out away, and that's fine. You take that pitch in there.
Luis Soho, the hero of Wednesday night's victory over Texas. A base hit tonight would be next. Let's see if they just might roll the dice here. Put up the green light for M.McGwire. Curveball on the outside corner.
Yeah, Corsi with first base open again. Even though you have another, even though Blowers right-handed hitter, Soho is right-handed, you almost pitch to him like you have a left-hander at the plate down once you fall behind a hitter of the caliber of Blowers.
Wicked pitch there. Good pitch. Like a cutter inside or turn it over inside. Good sink to it.
Yeah, good movement on that ball. Of course, he got in a spot where Blowers could not hit the ball fair even if he made contact.
There's Amaral. Inside. So Blowers will trot to first base, and that will bring up Luis Soho. The fans are getting excited. Tony La Russa throwing out some messages to somebody. I'm not sure whether it's out to the mound. Gates may be in there just to steal some time from Rick Honeycutt, but I doubt if Honeycutt's going to pitch to Soho. And let's see. Alex Diaz is going to pinch hit for Soho. And Alex Diaz, of course, is a switch hitter. And right now, Lou Piniella keeping his pinch hitter par excellence, Doug Strange, down on the bench for later work if need be. And Rick Honeycutt will come in here to pitch for the Oakland Athletics. Rick Honeycutt, 40 years of age now, wearing his number on his shirt, but he has always been tough in these situations. And Alex Diaz now will, indeed, if he is still going to bat, turn around and hit from the right-hand side. So the change is made, and we have this word for you. Last time the Oakland Athletics were here, Rick Honeycutt celebrated his 40th birthday. And the veteran left-hander, who I think probably still wants to pitch a year or so more, coming in to take over in a ticklish situation in this ball game.
Rick Honeycutt, the guy who just does not beat himself. He is a consummate professional coming out of that bullpen. And, well, he has been on a great streak. Until last Wednesday, day before yesterday, he had not given up a run in 24 2/3 innings. He had also retired 17 consecutive hitters. He gave up a couple to the California Angels, but he has been just outstanding, as always, for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan coming out of that bullpen. And speaking of outstanding,
Norm Charlton standing out there, hoping that he'll get a chance to pick up still another save. But to do that, the Mariners will have to score another here in the 8th. Remember, the Mariners down 6-0 in this ball game, and they answered with a 6th out of their own, led by the grand slam home run by Vince Coleman in the 4th, his first of his career. The Athletics took the lead with a single run in the 7th inning, and of course the home run here by Edgar Martinez has the Mariners even, and has taken Tim Belcher off the hook now. So here is Alex. Before the largest crowd of the year until tomorrow night, 51,500. You can see that about 49 points better against left-handers than right-handers. He doesn't get a face left-handers that much. But this man did a great job in center field for Junior when he was on the disabled list, almost exactly 3 months. And the man is on deck, Dan Wilson. There's Blowers over at first. Curveball low and in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. Angels have lost their 8th in a row as Texas wins 8-3.
There goes Amaral, the third throw to the third base. Not in time, and now a fly ball gets you the lead. So Rich Amaral, 20 of 22, and Tony La Russa arguing about Diaz hanging around there a little bit too long and wanting some interference, but he's not going to get it.
Diaz squaring around is just a bunt to block the view and the ability of Terry Steinbach to get rid of the ball. He made himself a much larger obstacle, and Amaral, of course, with that great speed, is 20th stolen base. And that does a couple of things. Not only does it get the go-ahead run 90 feet away, it also pulls the infield in, which takes away the ground ball double play possibility.
And also gives you a chance to squirt one through like Brent Gates did in scoring Ricky Henderson with the go-ahead run in the 7th. 2-0 the count, and Alex Diaz calls time.
I'm not so sure with Diaz hitting from the right side why you would have the middle infielders playing all the way in.
Twice this year, Lou Piniella has had the suicide squeeze on, and twice he has been successful, and he doesn't really care to use it.
Alex belts the ball deep to left field. Oh, that will fly away. I don't believe it. As Alex Diaz has just hit a 3-run home run, and the magic is in Seattle on this 22nd day of September as the Mariners have taken a 10-7 lead. Alex Diaz. Never a doubt about it. It's amazing.
The second home run for Seattle in the inning, the 4th of the night. And there have been some unlikely candidates tonight. Diaz in a pinch hitting role. V.Coleman a grand salami. But when you are hot late in the ball game. I told you shouldn't play the infield in the middle. You got to play him up about 100 feet.
Yeah, out about 390.
Yeah.
Here's Dan Wilson, and they're going bonzo right here at the Dome tonight. As Alex Diaz comes out for a curtain call. This is unbelievable.
Right down the middle and about 16 rows deep.
So it is 10-7. On the outside corner to Wilson.
Kind of reminds me of the night I was pitching in Old Comiskey Park in Chicago and ran him out of fireworks in the scoreboard. He had to shoot him off so often.
Well, he may have had that pitch come up and get him a little bit in the face. The way it bounced off the plate, I think he's fine. Maybe not. There's Alex Diaz.
Boy, oh boy.
And some long faces over in that Oakland dugout. Back to the mound. Honeycutt, good athlete, good fielder, will throw him out. So 2 outs in the 8th.
left fielder, Vince.
It's amazing the way Lupinella's been pushing the right buttons. He takes Luis So out of the ball game. Pinch hits Alex Diaz. And Diaz hits a bomb.
Now, you mentioned in our opening remarks, Dave, about a team of destiny, and things like this happen to teams in that position.
Well, fans have waited 19 long years here for this, and believe me, they have fallen deeply in love with baseball here at the end of 95 and the Seattle Mariners. Then Coleman with a strike on it. And that pitch popped up into left field. And R.Henderson will make the catch, but Wyatt Earp walking in from the bullpen. A 3-run pinch hit home run from Alex Diaz. And, man, I'm telling you, it sounds like a 747 has just taxied by here indoors in the Kingdome. 4 runs for the Mariners in the 8th. They lead it 10-7.
Ronald, I beg you. I beg you.
Well, back here at the Kingdome, this is Dave Niehaus, along with Steve Busby, as we go into the 9th inning of play, and the Mariners hand it to their sheriff, Norm Charlton, a fastball right down the middle. There you see defensive changes. Doug Strange has taken over third. Blowers has gone to first. And a ground ball hit to second baseman Joey Cora. He'll throw him out. Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Pro Player. It's not just a jacket you wear, it's an attitude. By McDonald's. Have you had your break today? And by the most prescribed medication of its kind. Now for heartburn, Tagaman HB. Well. How about this night in Seattle? The Mariners are 2 outs away from first place, all alone in the American League West. And R.Henderson, there's a man with a snarl on his face, a heart as big as a lion, and a repaired left elbow. A fastball a little bit high to Ricky. Ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes.
Oh, he has been amazing, and I don't have to tell you, Dave, or the Mariner fans, Norm Charlton appearing in his 26th ball game, and he has 11 saves. He got his first win the other night.
And Ricky, a fly ball to fairly deep center, but Junior's got it, and the Mariners are 1 out away from the top spot in the West. 2 down. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Tom Roy. The coordinating producer of the Baseball Network, the Flipper, John Filippelli. Our coordinating producer for NBC Sports, John Gonzalez. The vice president of operations for the Baseball Network, Ed Delaney. Our studio producers, Lance Jarrett and Bill Graff. Our studio producer, Rick Piva. That's a little bit low. Tonight's game produced by Mark Engelbrecht. Directed by Tom Adza, our associate director, Dick Smith, our technical director, Rick Jones, and our assistant producer, Rob Nielsen. And it's great to have had you with us from the Kingdome. And the delivery high, 2-0, to Geronimo Baroja. And the Moose exhorting people on. They don't need any help, I'm sure, tonight. It's all adrenaline. Strike down the middle, 2-1. A ground ball, 1 hopper hit to fair mean. He's got it, and the Mariners are on top in the West. My, oh my. They were 11.5 games back on August the 23rd, and on September the 22nd, they are a game ahead of the California Angels. Would you believe it? Alex Diaz is our MVP, tonight's Chevrolet Player of the Game, Alex Diaz, and in conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for the 1995 Major League Baseball season. Well, it could have been any of several tonight. It could have been Vince Coleman. It could have been Junior. But Alex Diaz, that pinch hit 3-run home run, and the Mariners are are right in the throes of a northeaster as the wind is blowing their sails faster and faster towards their first playoff spot in their 19-year history. The Mariners knock off the A's 10-7. It was something.
Oh, it's fantastic. First time that Seattle has ever been in first place by itself after the month of May in any season. And for this franchise, you can't be happier. A great bunch of people. As far as the ownership right now, they're packing the ball club. They've gotten the people to Lupinelli's, and they're having the best time of their lives here in Seattle.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. They just won't leave here. 51,500 still standing up, applauding, and they want to hang around and sucker it, just suck it in. And I'll tell you, the kids that were here tonight with mom and dad, young ladies and boys will never forget this night as they go home and they say, I was there 10 years ago when the Mariners took over first place in the American League West. I'll tell you, it's been a thrill for everyone here. Now we invite you to stay tuned to this NBC station for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno after your local news. And next Friday on Baseball Night in America, it will be the Angels and these same Athletics, or the Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. For Steve Busby, I'm Dave Niehaus. Good night, everybody, from Seattle.
Telecast has
Pittsburgh clock tip off. Clyde and company own a 4-game